Welcome everyone to the 1 o'clock session. It's a new hybrid world. Our presenters, Nick Jackson and Jerry Zhao. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jerry and I are very excited to be here and represent our team. The purpose of our talk, it's a new hybrid world. A quick introduction. I myself, Nick Jackson, I'm the audiovisual systems engineer. And go ahead, Jerry.
My name is Jerry Zhao. I'm the AV system designer.
Okay. So we'll be discussing the challenges of the pandemic in 2020 and how, as a team, we met those challenges and to continue to plan for future challenges. So today we're going to define AV. I'm going to briefly go through kind of an evolution of audio visual technology from when I started, which was 1996, until right before the pandemic, so 2020. We'll examine the impact of the pandemic on work environments and how we had to adapt as an AV team. We're going to explore the strategies for upgrading and designing hybrid compatible rooms, discover the role of AI in our new rooms, as well as some of our existing rooms, learn more about Zoom rooms and their benefits for collaboration. And then we'll be discussing, excuse me, the future-proofing methods for AV systems and infrastructure, assess the implications of AV technology advancements for accessibility and learning environments. So we are constantly looking ahead. So let's go right to the basics first. What is AV? Merriam-Webster defines an experience as a direct observation of or participation in events is a basis of knowledge. The fact or state of having been affected by or gained knowledge through direct observation or participation. So what do we do in AV? We create an experience. That is our whole job. That is our goal. That is why we're here. There's lots of equipment that needs help, that needs interfacing. There's lots of clients and customers that need help to interface with this equipment in order to get their message out, and that is what we are here to do. I break it down a little bit further. The message changes from user to user, but the ability to deliver that message should be consistent and enhance what they are presenting, not take away from it. So there are a few categories of AV. There's the typical hotel corporate AV that I think most of us have done. I've worked in all three of these industries. This is work usually done at like a hotel or a convention center. It can range from like a small setup, microphone, flip chart, projector, up to, if you have a larger ballroom, large events with, excuse me, line arrays and large projectors in a huge scale event. There is production AV. This is probably the largest category of them all. This is the AV that you see done at large music festivals, concerts, or sporting events. Usually there's like a video and audio recording component. When you're on an event like this as a technician, you typically have one role. But if you are done sooner, obviously you can help out in other ways. I should mention that in hotel corporate AV, you were kind of expected to learn and know every aspect of audiovisual, which would be audio, video, lighting, networking, and excuse me, rigging, but it's not necessary for all professions to know rigging. And then finally, the last is installed AV. This is what we are running into here at the UCLA. All the equipment that is used to support events is installed into a rack in the room. And then that room and that rack is used to support upcoming events. So at Digit AV, we have a few different roles, starting with the AV technicians. They assist in day-to-day support of all the rooms that we currently have going. We hope there's no issues, but obviously sometimes there is, and that's what we have AV technicians for. They are the most crucial part of the AV world because they interface directly with clients and they ensure that everything works and to make sure that the event runs smoothly. There is myself, the AV systems engineer. My main role is to support the techs, and how I do that is by supporting the equipment. either from installation to programming. And then outside of planning and solving complex issues, as I had stated before, my main purpose is to support the AV technicians. And then we have our AV systems designer, which is Jerry. This is where all of our systems begin. This is where kind of like the dream phase, the design phase, where you envision how you want a room to look, how you want people to interact in that room. It all begins there, and then we, as technicians and the engineer, help to carry it out. So I'm going to go back to 1996. That's I started audio visual back in 1996. Back then, we didn't have much of what we know now in AV. So I broke it down each kind of decade into different categories: audio, video, computer, and networking. So the audio in 1996 looked like all analog. Pretty much any live event you would do or anything done with microphones was going to be predominantly analog. Digital audio was starting to come out. It was used in some live events and recording as well as radio stations, but it still wasn't anything that I would consider commercially available. Same with video. Video was, this is 1996, so we knew nothing yet of high definition. We knew nothing yet of digital video or sending digital video over the network or anything of that sort. So this analog equipment is just wire to wire. There were some digital mixers coming out that allowed for some graphics and that sort of thing, but they're very slow in coming out. And the main source for seeing excuse me, content was CRT monitors or CRT projectors. And in our computer world, we had, at that time, Windows 95, Mac OS 7, and plug and play had just been developed in Windows 95. So that becomes very important because prior to that, in order to connect a periphery, specifically a monitor to a PC, you had to, in many cases, download the driver, install the driver, reboot the computer, make sure it's plugged in while you're rebooting the computer, and then you have your piece of gear. So even in 1995 and Windows 95, we were able to finally start doing the plug and play. Networking was kind of something we didn't do too much of. Mainly, there was like one PC in my high school per room that was hooked up to the internet, and that was as much as we knew about networking. There were some early video calls. Some video conferencing technology was starting to be developed in 1992. So it was kind of at its infancy. Everything was really at the beginning of what we know it to be now. And a couple of the pictures that you see here, the left machine is a Windows 95 machine, so that could be any one of the manufacturers at that time that put it out. The middle one is a Mac. That is a Mac prior to Steve Jobs taking over in 97 and releasing all the pretty iMacs that we kind of know today. And then finally on the right is a CRT 3-gun projector. This is what we used to use and see all the time until closer to the early 2000s, which will take us right into 2000 and 2010. So in terms of audio, audio is starting to move out of the analog realm. We're starting to figure out how to take analog sources and convert them to digital so that we can both record and edit that audio as well as interact with it in a live situation. So this, you start seeing things like digital effects racks and digital, excuse me, and on those you would see like digital compressors, and so you wouldn't have to bring as much equipment and it would take less time to manipulate the signal. For video, monitors and projectors started to move into the digital realm in the early 2000s, as well as cameras. So cameras kind of excelled at the same rate as TVs. So when a TV gets to HD, people are going to expect that the camera, which provides content for that monitor, to also be HD. So we started seeing in the early 2000s HD cameras come out on smaller form. Really early on, it was the just standard digital cameras that we saw. Eventually became what we now know as larger scale digital video. For computing, it was Windows XP, Mac OS X was out, and then we just started to see smartphones. So BlackBerry, Trio, the Palm OS, the iPhone, the Android technology. It was starting to come out and become part of our lives, basically. And then in terms of networking, this is also when our video conferencing starts to become more mainstream. Prior to this, you typically needed a Cisco video engineer, some sort of hub in between in order to do these large video conference calls. But now manufacturers like Polycom and even Cisco made it easier for all of us by creating simpler systems for video conferencing. The pictures up right is the Yamaha, the original Yamaha OMB, the first digital mixer that they had put out. This came out, I think, in 2002, I believe. And then at the very bottom is like one of the first digital LCD projectors. All of that, and it was only 1024 by 768, and then I think the lumens were 2K in the very beginning. Now, as we move into the next decade, 2010 to 2020, we saw lots of advances from 2000 to 2010, leaps and bounds. By the time we get to 2010, all the audio, as we know, is pretty much either starting to become digital or already digital. We're starting to stream audio. We're starting to network audio and send it around to different places. Whether you're in a big complex, so you're sending it to different buildings in that complex, or whether we're sending audio over the internet to another country or something like that. Video started to really take off in this decade. We went from having just HD to now we have resolutions up to 8K. We have streaming video. Cameras, the smallest, tiniest cameras will now produce 4K images. Computers have also leaps and bounds have grown since even the last prior decade to this one. Windows 11, Mac OS X, all the new iOSs, the Android OS. In 2010, we saw the iPad come out, and once the iPad came out, everybody needed a tablet and or an iPad. So that became part of our conferencing lexicon, if you will, because now we have to support tablets as well as computers, because people present with those as well. And then networking, it's basically, we went from one computer in my school that maybe had the internet dial up to now every single thing is networked, kind of regardless of how important it is. It's part of a larger piece of the puzzle. So everything is networked. We can update it. We can access it. We can access it remotely. And it's wonderful. Now, a little brief comparison of 96 to 2020. We went from analog audio to now digital audio, networked audio in Dante. We went from analog video to digital video and video streaming. We had webcams in 96, but they were very, very bad. They were really low resolution, and then the refresh rates were really low. So we went from there to basically the camera that I'm talking to everyone on today, which is able to do up to 4K and without any loss. And then back in 96, we had some limited networking. We had dial-up. Excuse me, the bigger lines would not come until a little bit later, so that we can have a larger bandwidth, the DSL lines. And then in terms of computing technology, in 1996, there was some laptops, but they didn't serve the same kind of purpose that we know them to be now. There was no Wi-Fi or wireless networking. And then the graphics abilities were very limited because of the technology at the time. Now, networking is everywhere. It's run throughout all of our businesses. There's Wi-Fi in whole cities. There's everywhere you go, there's an internet connection of some sort. And then we went from having kind of basic laptops and computers to now you can do a presentation from your laptop, from your tablet, from your phone, and all three if that's what you prefer to do. And that leads me up to the reason why we're here. So the pandemic 2020. all that history that I had just talked about, all the 20 or so years of the technological advancements, and then 2020 happened, and overnight, all that technology that we use that's on site, that's cool, that keeps people integrated, the cameras are better, the projectors are better, the monitors are better, we can't use them pretty much overnight. There was a shutdown of all the operations that we had here on site. Nobody was to come on site. And as an AV technician, the only thing I have ever done since the beginning of it has been an on-site contact, either dealing with the client directly, setting up equipment, tearing down equipment, troubleshooting rooms, and now we basically can't do anything of what we normally do. So anything that's happened since 1996 kind of got neutralized, not necessarily, but in terms of on-site events. So how do we do this? How do we do this as a team? How do we support events now when we don't have the physical space that we used to? It's a real challenge. So the only way we did that was because we are on a larger team, Digit and ISS. They've provided networking and desktop support for us. From the networking side, UCLA has one of the largest already existing infrastructures before we hit the pandemic. So when people were having to go to remote work, it made it a whole lot easier because they had already built the infrastructure for us. And then all the VPN access was constantly being updated and worked on so that we could remotely log into our computers that were here on site when we all had to be sometimes in different states. And then just prior to the pandemic, we were starting to update our rooms so that we could have some remote support from our offices. So because of the amount of work that was put in that allowed this, we were able then to support our rooms from our homes. So if somebody happened to be on site, because of the networking that was put in place, we were able to do that. And we were also able to transition from having all on-site equipment to nothing at all because of the support we had from networking, as well as desktop. So the only app we used was Zoom, and then eventually Teams became part of it, but we mainly use Zoom to support events. And thanks to desktop support, Zoom was putting out updates on a sometimes daily basis. So we needed a desktop to really help support the users. And then in some cases, the users had older laptops that needed to be updated in order to use Zoom. So we really relied heavily on networking and desktop support in order to be successful as a group. So how do we support this as a team? Well, we did it all virtually. So on the left-hand side, those are just some of the events that we had going on prior to the pandemic, and then some were because of the pandemic, but they all had to be managed virtually. So we had a magnet visit, which is what you see pictures of here. And I'll go through that real quick as we go down through. So the magnet visit required people from an organization, an organization to come on site and then physically inspect all the spaces that the nurses are working in, ensure that they have all that they need, ensure that they have all that the information they need on each unit. And in order to do that, normally they would fly in and they would spend a week there and spend a day or so on each unit, but we could not do that because of the shutdown. So on the left picture, you'll see a Zoom cart that is a reused medical cart that was in the hotel. In the hospital, not the hotel. It was in the hospital and it got repurposed as a Zoom cart. So we mounted a camera on top and a PC underneath, and we were able to then push this around to wherever they needed to set up a Zoom call quickly. And in the middle, you'll see our iPad cart, and then to the right, you can kind of see it in use. This was used to be pushed from unit to unit to communicate. The inspectors themselves were on each one of these iPads, and they would be able to, because of the camera and the microphone and speaker we had built in, they would be able to communicate with the nurses on site, as well as be able to see everything they needed to see in order to have a successful magnet visit. And that one was a success. They were able to keep the credentials that they had previously had, or the accreditation, I believe. So we also did that for Second Look, Match Day. There constant, or not constant. So there's lots of graduations that happened that required our virtual support. The doctors in the hospital, as both hospitals, all do regular grand rounds, so we had to be able to support those virtually. And then there were daily COVID emergency centers, as well as daily COVID town halls that we supported as a group as well. And then on top of the emergency stuff, there was regular events like curriculum events. There was teaching. There were town halls. There were the events that normally happen on site, but we had to do it all virtually. So we created a support environment for Zoom. We did regular calls on a weekly basis to see what events were coming up and what events needed our help. And then we managed all the webinars and the meetings and the events that happened for DGSOM and UCLA Health. And then the Zoom carts, which were made for the magnet visit, have been repurposed and reused for several other visits during the pandemic that required the same level of interaction between somebody that's inspecting the hospital and the staff that's on site explaining it to them. This presents the next, which is kind of the crux of what we are doing now. Hybrid. What is a hybrid event? So we went from having everybody was on site and we had meetings on site. All the technology was there. The projectors, microphones, everything was there on site. And now we all went virtual. So when we went virtual, it was pretty easy to just do everything over Zoom. We could accommodate Zoom relatively easily. But then when people started coming back onto site, we were introduced to this new idea of a hybrid meeting. And what does that mean? It's basically taking our existing rooms and using them in a Zoom world. So that means that we have to make sure that our spaces all meet that kind of criteria. A hybrid meeting uses both the in-room technology of a meeting space as well as Zoom. It allows for a flexibility, so attendees can join from anywhere. There is the technology integration. They rely on the advanced AV technologies that we've installed, from cameras and microphones to other devices to create an immersive experience for the remote and in-person participants. So back to the experience that I explained earlier, we are there to create the same experience for the people virtually as we are for the people on site. And the only way we could do that is to make sure that our technology is on par, up to date, and consistently working. A hybrid also allows for a lot of collaboration. Hybrid meetings foster better collaboration engagement by connecting people over large distances. Now, we saw this during the pandemic because people were able to continue on their regular business because they're able in both the hybrid and the virtual setting to continue to collaborate and work with each other despite the challenge. So now that we're back on site and we need to do hybrid, there's some challenges going forward with our hybrid technology. Now, although most rooms were updated right before the pandemic, we were working on updating them. There were still many of our older conference rooms that were equipped with dated AV technology and not suited to the demands of what we need in the hybrid world. And as hybrid work environments become the norm, remote management of AV systems is crucial. That helps us as a team for smooth operation, and we are able to help customers quicker through remote access. And then finally, the proper calibration of the AV system is essential for delivering the best possible audio and video quality during these hybrid meetings. And that I'm going to hand it off to Jerry, who will then explain to you how we adapted. Thanks, Jerry.
As Nick mentioned earlier, we faced a tremendous challenge over the past 3 years. Now, I want us to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Initially, AV was a part of facilities surrounding overhead projectors, analog TVs, and VCD players, and all the other equipments Nick mentioned at the very beginning. As time progressed, AV became a part of IT with laptop connecting to display. about a decade ago, traditional Cisco and Polycom video conferencing start getting their popularities. However, hybrid meetings are not a new concept. We were already planning to add USB cameras and microphones to our meeting space before the pandemic. However, COVID-19 accelerated the transformation of hybrid meeting space. Now, students, instructors, and staff have the options to work from home. As an AV system designer, my biggest challenge is to enhancing our meeting space to provide a great experience that incentivize on-site meeting while connecting with remote participants. If people can join a Zoom meeting like this from their laptop or phone, why should they come to campus to attend a meeting? This is the question. I guess this is $1 million question. I believe it will return if we can provide them a unique collaborative experience. The space we're creating, they're not just about function, they're also about promoting real natural interaction and engagement among everyone present. Think about this. In person, people get those immediate visual and auditory cues that makes communication so clear and precise. And let's not forget how much richer in-person discussion can be. They have got spontaneous remarks, group brainstorming, and ideas just flowing very naturally. Sometimes these things can get lost or restricted in a virtual meeting, no matter how good the technology is. With all that in mind, our mission has been to give the on-site meeting experience a serious upgrade. We are not just ticking off a functionality checklist. We are going the extra mile to create space that are as comfortable and inviting as they are practical. You'd be surprised how much difference good seating arrangement, lighting, and acoustic can make. By making these space place people actually wanted to come back to, we are encouraging more face-to-face collaboration. And of course, we are making sure they're kitted out with the best technology for seamless communication with everyone joining remotely. Now, we are not just sitting back and waiting for things to improve. We have been taking some serious steps to take our meeting space to the next level. A huge one was to getting Zoom up and running, like Nick mentioned, in all the conference rooms and classroom in CHS and Gavin Hall buildings. This has been a game changer for smooth real-time communication and collaborations, no matter where everyone tuning in or from. Furthermore, we have adapted all-in-one video conferencing device to simplify the conferencing process and provide an integrated experience. This comprehensive device fitted with high-definition cameras, microphones, and speakers not only simplifies the setup process, but also removes a compatibility issue and provide a superior AV quality. Therefore, they significantly enhance the user experience in both on-site and hybrid scenarios. To supplement those efforts with digit and desktop support, we initiate conference room computer builds. It involves the use of special configured guest computer image, which is a standardized operating system equipped with a select set of application and seating tailored for public use. Now imagine a world where one can join a meeting without having to log into the computer, thereby eliminating a frequent technical hurdle. This ease of use and seamless experience allow anyone attending the meeting to focus on their objectives, regardless of whether they're sitting in rooms or dialing in from halfway across the world. Moving away from the previous wireless screen sharing solution, Intel Unite, and towards the new immersive device, opened up a whole world of possibilities. No more regular Windows updates or special PC image required. The transition to this plug-and-play device greatly simplified the maintenance process, enhanced reliability, and minimized system downtime. And these immersive devices are not just screen sharing tools. They're armed with robust collaboration features that enable multiple people to interact with shared content at the same time. This leads to more dynamic and engaging discussion. Plus, this unit have the ability to collect and analyze the usage data, which provide us the frequency and the mode of use. Those are very invaluable for us to make the informative purchasing and upgrade decision in the future. Let's talk about some of the new tools we have in the remote management toolbox. The toolbox for remote management got a serious upgrade with some cutting-edge tools that makes it possible to optimize AV system effectively from anywhere. For instance, there's this combo of Dante Network and Shure software. It takes remote management of audio gears to a whole new level, reducing the need for physical troubleshooting and on-site management. This improves efficiency and reduces the time spent on maintenance and adjustment, ensuring consistent audio performance across all of our meetings. Then there is Extron GVE, a very powerful tool that makes it possible to manage AV control system from anywhere. Monitor, adjust, troubleshoot, and maintain an optimal performance for all of our AV gears at all time. And if any equipment gets disconnect, we'll get a notification from the Extron GVE, so the issue can be addressed immediately and then minimize downtime for our AV system. And also we have this Mid-Atlantic Racklink software. This software enables us to the rebooting of equipment remotely to clear errors and re-establish connection to the network, adding a great degree of flexibility in troubleshooting. So this helps us to reduce response time and high system uptime. Incorporating these tools has been nothing short of a revolution in AV management, really shifting the approach from being reactive to proactive. It is no longer about simply responding to problems as they show up, but it's about preempting issues before they can even occur, ensuring a very smooth, consistent experience to all of our users. All right, we have implemented several user experience upgrades to enhance the functionality and the usability of our AV system. We have introduced AI-based auto framing cameras in our meeting space that automatically adjust the frame to focus on active speakers. This capability ensure that the visual focus of the meeting transition seamlessly to whoever is speaking, make a virtual meeting more engaging and natural for the remote attendees. Alongside these cameras, we have integrated beamforming microphone array into our AV setup. These microphones employ advanced signal processing to focus on the speaker's voice while minimizing background noise. So automatic coverage technology captures desired speaker will remove the other noise without any need of adjusting pickup lobes. Even with zero setup, it can cover up to 30 by 30 square footage straight out of the box. The technology allowed us to set up 8 adjustable coverage areas to focus on specific location and capture multiple speakers simultaneously. Furthermore, the system can also apply automatic mixing, echo cancellation, noise reduction, which provide high quality audio. It even reports the position of each speakers for accurate camera tracking if we set up the system to do that. This results in a substantial improvement in audio clarity, enabling clear and effective communication during meetings. We have also standardized the graphical user interface across our AV installations. A standardized interface provides a consistent, easy to navigate control system across multiple rooms and setups. This reduces the learning curve for all of our users and ensures smooth operation, even when they switch between different meeting spaces. By creating familiarities and simplicity in the interface, we allow user to focus more on the meeting contents rather than operating the technology. In an effort to improve efficiency and consistency across our AV projects, we have made a very significant strides in standardize our AV system design process. We have implemented a standard project intake process to handle all of our new AV projects. Secondly, we have moved towards utilizing we call template-based designs for our AV system. These designs offers a range of benefits such as it saves a lot of time by eliminating the needs to create a custom design for each new projects. Will also ensuring a consistency across different meeting space. Lastly, we have developed a protocol to of standard design documents for every new construction jobs. These documents serve as comprehensive guides for design and construction teams, detailing the AV facility requirements at the start of the construction job. Basically, the standardization of our AV system design process represents our commitment to improve our operational efficiency and also consistency across installation and overall user experience. We are also setting up for a successful future upgrade and development. All right. In quick conclusion, our continuous effort to innovate and adapt to the ever-changing landscape of AV technology have enabled us to provide a seamless, engaging, and immersive experience for both on-site and remote participant. As we move forward, we will continue to stay ahead of the trend, improve our processes, and ensure that our solution not only meet but exceed the expectation of our users. Thank you for your attention today, and we hope that our insight have provided a better understanding of the challenge we have faced and the success we have made at UCLA Health. Here are the QR code for our LinkedIn page if you want to connect with us. If you have any questions, we'll be more than happy to address them.
You'd like to add any questions to the chat or QA? We've got one that is, does the AI control multiple cameras? Can you tell me more about Dante? Is it an administrative access system?
Go ahead. You can answer that one, Jerry.
I have the question one more time.
Does the AI control multiple cameras? Can you tell me more about Dante? Is it an administrative access system?
As of right now, the setup we have is to control only one camera in the front. But from the last Infocom conference, we saw a lot of the manufacturers are they're adding more cameras into the rooms with different angles to better capture the facial expression of the attendees. That is definitely on the horizon.
And I'll explain Dante real quick, Jerry. Dante is basically it's an audio streaming service that connects everything that has Dante built into it to one another. And but there are specific network requirements for doing it. And when you get it done, when it's working, it's awesome because you can send audio like from the hospital side over to the school side. But more importantly, the Dante connection, because it's over networking, is secure, and you're able to do many things with that connection. Does that answer the Dante question, or more explanation needed? So I think the initial one was it an administrative program?
That was the follow-on, yes.
Yeah, so in a sense it is, because we have the Dante controller. We're the ones that go in and make the changes. So essentially the technology itself is used to send audio from point to point, but Audinate and Dante have developed software that we use as administrators in order to change the settings, update firmware, update software, as well as make new ties in the actual software itself.
Any other questions from our audience? Not seeing any additional questions. We're almost at time. So on behalf of our presenters today, I'll say thank you for attending and thank you for the great information on this transition and how to support it from a technology perspective. If you can, as you are leaving the session, please remember to fill out the online survey to provide feedback for both the conference and the presentation. And we appreciate your attending.
Thank you. And you can contact us via LinkedIn or the information that we had posted if you have any other questions outside of this session.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.